It's been a week or so. Life gets in the way sometimes. Not much we can do about it, but hey, here we are. This is what we do. I haven't missed a workout. I have had one day off, I think, in the last 2 weeks. So, I did some training at home, in the yard or inside. It was a little too chilly. But I've had, I think, 3 days off of gym in the last 2 weeks and one day off completely. All I did in the morning was a little bit of my morning routine, which I've shown you guys before, but just for the knee stuff, bit of meditation stuff, but I didn't do any actual exercise. Felt like I was kind of getting under the weather a little bit, so I kind of just had one day off there and then bounced right back. I wanted to quickly talk about some of the little gizmos and gadgets that I use. People are asking me these things. I post them on Instagram often, and so I get little questions. So I just wanted to put that out there. I have a grounding sheet on my bed, which sits underneath the fitted sheet, but over the mattress. It plugs into the earthing part of the plug on the wall, so not the two prongs that give you the electricity, but just the single prong that earths essentially. So that helps me sleep and reduce inflammation a little bit. I have a aura ring that monitors, I guess, everything. I use that one to check the differences in some of these bits and pieces that I use. So I use them for like a week, one at a time, check and monitor what happens with the aura ring, with sleep recovery and heart rate variability, respiratory rate, and blood oxygen. And I can have an idea whether those things are actually working or not for a good week prior to continuing on with them. And I've continued with the grounding sheet. I think it does good work. I have continued with the Olux, O-L-U-X ring, which is a magnet ring. It doesn't do anything fancy except for what magnets on the body does. So you can do your own research on all this stuff. I know you guys ain't just going to listen to some random I know you guys aren't just going to listen to some randomness from some random guy. So go and do a little bit of your own research there. Just look at it all from an open mind and try and look back a little further. So if we understand the way the world works these days, especially in the last 10 to 15 years, there's a lot of science being put out there, which is, if you look up where science studies come from and who sponsors them, it will open your mind and you'll be shocked. I promise you that. So I don't go ahead and follow too much science all the time just because it's science. Do a little bit of research on your research if you're including science and studies. But if you go back a little further than that and see the power of magnets, see the power of grounding, you'll be surprised. The other things I use, I have a mouth guard that I use for sleeping. It is just a bottom on the bottom of my teeth with a little apparatus that wraps around the inside of my teeth. And what that does is pushes the tongue to the roof of my mouth, which allows for better sleeping, which allows for better breathing, I should say, which obviously then allows for better sleeping. So it's a recovery mouthpiece, helping aid recovery during sleep, because sleep is the most important part of recovery, in my opinion. And I use magnesium, all 7 types in one powder by Bio-Optimizers. It's a powdered form. I've also used the pills. I use that before sleep. I knock out. Now what I'm going to tell you guys here is that I have used bits and pieces similar to these things for a long time, here and there, sparingly, different brands, try different things. I am now for the first time combining all of those things at once. So magnets, grounding, full spectrum magnesium, and a breathing apparatus. And I have noticed a very consistent sleep all the way through metrics on my Aura ring. So it has an app, the Aura ring has an app, and I can see all the visuals of it. I would typically be waking up at least 3 or 4 or 5 times, and you can see that by the chart, and it has a little breaks in between. You wake up, Perhaps you go to the bathroom, maybe you're tossing and turning, you don't remember, but your body kind of awoke at this point. I have noticed in the last week, which I have used the grounding, the magnets, the magnesium, and the breathing mouthpiece, that I think in the last 7 days, I've only woken one time out of all 7 nights combined. So 6 of those nights I slept right through, and it literally feels like I'm closing my eyes, falling asleep, and then waking up, and it's 7 hours later, 8 hours later, 5 hours later, whatever it is. That I find very interesting. So the combination, I think the one that I noticed the biggest difference for that, as far as sleeping all the way through, was the breathing, the mouthpiece. This one was, to me, absolutely mind-blowing. The results I got from that immediately, with better sleep, and obviously an accumulation of time, and accumulation over time of good sleep will lead to really awesome and productive results. So I'm looking forward to that over time. It's only been a couple of weeks, but I wanted to share that straight away because I know these things take time. So the earlier I can share these things to you guys, the earlier you guys can get started, if it's something that's in your basket, so to speak, in your cart, and you're looking at incorporating some of these things. So if I'm new, I'm doing the Airwave is the brand of mouthpiece. I'm doing the mouthpiece first, then I'm doing magnesium, then I'm doing the grounding sheet, because all those 3 combined will help with sleep like you wouldn't believe, and that I think is the most important part. And then I would do the magnet rings, the magnet ring after that. There are a couple other things I've been incorporating with vitamins. So I use a electrolyte based, not even a pre-workout, but what would seem as like a pre-workout powder container, you know? You put 1 scoop in here, yeah. So it's one of those. It's not a pre-workout at all. I'm just making a reference to what they look like. It looks like a little powder in a little tub that you take in the mornings in your water, and it's called Re-Light by Redmond. Redmond Life, I believe, is the brand. Re-Light, L-Y-T-E. Amazing. 1 scoop of that in the morning. I'm getting all the electrolytes that I need, and I do still add sodium to my water every time I have a refill of my water bottle. I add, you know, a gram of salt to it, a gram of sodium, and then a multivitamin. I use a methylated multivitamin by the brand 10X, which is Gary Brecker's brand, or the face of this brand. I highly recommend this multivitamin if you're taking a multivitamin. I believe they also sell specific supplements on top, so they're great, but the methylation in the stomach for absorption of those vitamins, I believe, is extremely vital. Otherwise, you could be just wasting a lot, just passing it through your body, wasting your money and your time. So this multivitamin for me is amazing in the science and the purpose of it. I've only been using it about just over a month now. And like most multivitamins, it's not something you're going to notice or feel immediately. It's not like a chemical compound from a pharmaceutical drug that you feel straight away. And I think that's sometimes one of the things that most people are turned off by holistic health and natural medicine, is that they don't feel anything right away. Because I think the difference is that you've got science that blocks certain receptors, blocks certain feelings, hides certain symptoms, so you feel straight away, or pretty much straight away. Whereas holistic health kind of helps to undo the damage that was caused. So it's kind of like you've been digging a hole, pharmaceuticals will come in with a bulldozer and fill that hole with a bulldozer. Whereas if you've been digging a hole and you go holistically, you got to refill that hole with a shovel yourself. So it takes a little bit more time. That's the way I see it. Anyway, this was not meant to be this long. I apologize, but I have been getting a lot of questions about this. What do I take? What do I do? How much do I take? I take creatine and a collagen peptide protein and a whey protein. That is literally all else I take. My whey, my collagen, and my creatine are in a shake, which is my liquid meal, because I have spoken about this before. I have one liquid meal, one soft meal, and one hard meal. And then I take the Relight in the morning for hydration, first thing in the morning with a big glass of water, and the magnesium at night before bed. And the other stuff just sits around. The mouthpiece when I go to bed. The ring sits on all the time. I have it here as we speak. And then obviously the grounding sheet is in my bed all the time. So there's not much I can do about that. That one just sits there. And yeah, for the amount of injuries, ailments, physically that I have on my knees, my ankles, my back, my shoulders, I feel great. I'm exercising every single day. No splits, no Monday chest day, Thursday leg day. It's almost everything, almost every day, consistently. And yeah, I'm 45 fucking years old, and I feel probably 30, to be honest. Although I don't know how that would compare, because I didn't feel 30 when I was 30, but I guess you know what I mean. I feel considerably younger than 45. I may not be able to physically do what a 30-year-old can do. My body's technically still broken, but as far as feeling and, you know, sleeping and all this kind of stuff, I'll put my stamp on around 30, 35. Take that with a grain of salt. Ba-dum-psh. Right, I'm gonna see you guys inside. I'm gonna go do a quick sort of comeback workout, since it's been, you know, a little bit since I've done this video. I'm gonna do a little bit of a comeback. Everybody loves a good comeback story, right? So I'm gonna go in there and do a little some nothing too crazy at all. It's packed in here. So try and find a little corner and do a few exercises within that little corner just to get myself back in there. Might try some kettlebells and chin-ups and push-ups or something simple like that. All right, I'll see you guys on the inside. I'm going to today do a little bit of a circuit. It's been a while since I've done a circuit, so I'm kind of looking forward to that as a whole. I'd like to show you guys a general circuit at the same time. I think that'd be a pretty cool little way to train today, so that'll be what I'll be doing. I haven't figured out what I'll be doing, but this and this. So there'll be a chin up in there. I do chin ups every session in some means or manner. This is a bar that I've put down to do some push-ups. I'm going to do variations of push-up, or a variation of a push-up, not just a simple push-up, just for something a little different. I just did quad leg extensions and seated calf raise, 5 sets of each, 5 sets of 20 each, so 100 reps of those two. Nothing crazy on the weight. I do it just to maintain some strength across my knees, because I have somewhat knee issues, as I kind of previously mentioned in the intro over there. So I did 10 minutes of walking backwards in there in the end, 10, 12, something like that. The machine doesn't turn on, so I can't tell exactly, because it doesn't have a running clock, because I don't turn the machine on. I force the belt to move with my own resistance, with my own legs and muscles. And then when I did the 100 reps on the quad extension, it wasn't going to film on there, because A, it's in a really bad place in the gym. You're not going to hear or see people walk by. It's right next to the lockers. And it's pretty simple leg extensions. Plus, they're not a workout. I don't consider that part a workout. The reverse walking is part of the warm-up. You know, myself to get some sort of blood and stuff in my knees and joints and stuff that I need. And then the leg extension and the calf raises, the seated calf raises, is just something that I do to maintain and keep a decent stability around my knee, because I have issues with that without having ACLs and PCLs in my knees that do their job right. I have a lot of instability, so I stay away from lateral movement, sideways movement. I can do straightforward a little bit. I can't do power too much more, but I can at least walk, go on hikes, do these type of things, general straight line stuff, if I do the calf raises and the quad extensions on a regular basis. So that's just part of my day in the gym. I don't count that as a workout. This is the workout. The rest was a warm-up and maintenance based stuff. So I'll do a chin up, I'll do a I'll do a knees to elbows or legs or toes to bar, one of those two. Or maybe a combination of the two if I get a little too tired, so that'll be abs. I'll do chin-ups, so that'll be a pull. I'll do the push-ups, so that'll be a push. My legs are kind of warm from that workout, so I might do some lunges in here too, so that'll be some legs in there. So legs, push, pull, abs. That sounds pretty good to me. So there's 4 exercises I've just decided to do. I've spread it across so that I'm not doing multiple exercises of the same thing, although you can argue, and it would be a good argument, that the toes to bar or the knees to elbows would actually be using the back quite a bit. You could argue that. And you could also say that the forward crunch of the abs would also be a frontal plane movement like the push. So there's 2 planes being used technically in a way, as far as back with the pull-up part and the push part. So that would be the fun part. I'll do lunges because I don't want to add weight, so I'll make it harder by just reducing one of my legs and doing all of my body weight on one leg. And yeah, I'll just do a little circuit of that. I'll probably do 5 rounds of it. I'll try to go for around 10 or 12 reps of each time. Small breaks in between, give you guys a chat. I'll probably go a full circuit before talking, maybe except for the first one, because the first one I'll just quickly sort of talk about what I'm doing. So the first one I'm going to do legs first, because that one gasses me out the most as far as energy, and so that makes the other 3 exercises a little bit tougher. And those other 3 exercises I don't find super tough. I will at the end of the set, but at the beginning not so much, so I'll do this one first. With my lunges, I like to do a bent over lunge, so it's more of athletic based, and I go until my knee essentially just touches the floor, and I always come back to that neutral position. So I'll do all 10 on the same leg instead of alternating, just so you guys can see the technique a little better. The knee does go over the toe slightly, but my heel stays on the floor. I'm pushing through the 3 parts of the foot, the ball of the big toe, the ball of the little toe, and the heel evenly. So I'm not popping up onto my toes, and I'm not leaning back onto my heel more so than the other. I believe that's about 10. You can see on this side, I don't put my leg too far back. The back knee drops roughly about the same sort of level, or give or take a couple inches from the heel of the front foot. I stay slightly bowed forward to activate the glute medius and the quadricep, or the more important part of the quadricep for me, the vastus medialis, this little teardrop one in the front. And that's just specifically for me. Because of my knee issues, I should count. I think it's about 10. Or count on the other rounds when I'm not busy talking and chatting. And so my grip in here will be the issue. So I'll separate the chin-ups and the abs section with the push-up so that my grip gets a little bit of rest in between the two. I find the abs a little more difficult as far as the grip is concerned. So I'll do them first. And I'm going to go essentially just making sure I tuck my pelvis in to activate the abdominal, the rectus abdominis, the 6-pack muscle itself, and not just the hip flexor. And I'm going to try and get my knees to touch my elbows. Pretty simple. Looks a little like this. When I hit the bottom, I slightly tap just to stop any of the momentum, but that's because I'm kind of tall. A little too tall for this machine. Alright, grip not too bad, but I can tell I'll definitely be cramping in my abs later on, which is something I've always had a bit of an issue with. So I'll battle through that peacefully, quietly. You probably won't know unless I start making weird ass noises. Push-ups in between, I'm going to do a variation or a staggered push-up where I kind of do almost like a one-handed push-up. I'm going to go onto one side and open the hand on the other, as to take a little bit more weight off of this arm and put emphasis more onto this arm. So it's almost like a 75 or 80% weight on one arm. So go to one side, then pop across and go to the other side. Nothing rocket science, just simple. And then finish off with 10 chin-ups. The grip will be first thing to go in today's workout. I can tell you that right now. And then potentially the cramp in the abs. Right, so more than likely won't be able to finish the whole 10 in a row on the last set or two with the chin-ups. I will be trying to get those out. I'm not a big, I'm not a super fan of these timed rest periods. If you are trying to gain and you need the rest periods to be specifically 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, whatever, that makes sense. I don't mean gain muscle, I mean gain whatever. Muscular endurance, well, hypertrophy, so gaining muscle will be in there too. But if there's a specific need and reason for those shorter rest periods, go for it. I don't have those. I'm not trying to attain any cardiovascular fitness above what I have during or using training circuits. If I want to get more cardiovascular fitness, I'll do it by actual just cardiovascular exercise these days. It's not a bad thing, it's just what I'm doing at the moment. So you can have a certain timer, beeper, shot clock, so to speak, set up so you can keep yourself working at a consistent pace. It's just not in my playbook at the moment, so I'll just stick to whenever it feels good. Because I do want to I'd rather complete the set of 10 on everything, especially the chin-ups at the end. I'd rather complete that, add a straight set of 10 and add an extra minute of rest, rather than having to take that down and lose any of that momentum and that. I like that little internal battle I have with myself on the 7th or 8th one when it gets really tough. To try and get to that 10, I prefer that than taking that rest at the time and then adding another set of 2 or 3 to finish off the 10 that I thought I would be able to do but failed at. So that'll be what I'll do. I'll pop into this one, I'll alternate. So because I am putting my feet back into the same spot each time, pretty easy to just alternate across. I definitely feel this in the muscles that I should be feeling this in. Terrible at counting. I'm gonna say this will be a 9. Whew, okay. Abba dabbers. Okay, so in this exercise specifically, I know where I have an issue, and that is the going down part. I tend to keep that always under control, and that's the part, the eccentric movements, of the lengthening of the muscle, because it's being contracted and made short as I'm coming up. It's still the abs that are in control of the lowering of the legs, but the muscle, although it's under tension, is not contracting, right? It's not getting shorter. So the eccentric phase, the concentric phase is the shortening, the eccentric phase is the lengthening, but under tension. So the abs are doing eccentric work, lowering. And that's where I get a lot of the cramp. That's where I get a lot of activation for me. The bit when I'm lifting my legs up, the concentric part, not so tough. I feel I can do that pretty well. But I also remember when I first was introduced to this exercise, which I think was a toes to bar 20 odd years ago now, I would just let my body fall and not concentrate. And I found I could do, I don't know, 50 or 100 in a row or something like this. I was doing some Jim Jones workouts, some 300 workout, the movie 300 type workouts they had. And it was almost an introduction to CrossFit before CrossFit really took off. So we were doing a lot of those type of things. And I had no problems with them until I started doing bodybuilding competitions and training bodybuilders, that I realized the eccentric phase and time under tension and control, mind to muscle connection, was more important than pure reps, especially for time. So yeah, that's when I discovered that I was getting much better results, obviously, as you should be for hypertrophy training, in the six-pack stuff. And this is essentially the only exercise I was doing for abs anyway, because I had such good connection with it. Yeah, I find myself still, when I go back into this exercise like this now, getting those old neural connections coming back. And so I can't really just do a whole set of 20 fast. My body just has that control, not necessarily letting myself go, but always keeping a little bit of control on the elongating part, the eccentric phase. So anyway, let's get these push-ups out. And just because I talked too much in the previous break, I'm gonna go straight into these, punish myself talking. Right, one thing you will notice in my chin-ups is that I make sure that I come down each time into as much of a full lock out as I can. It's not necessary for everyone. It's not possible, but it's 100% the better version. You don't want to be doing these ones where you're coming down halfway, or locking out your elbow but keeping your shoulder jacked, or locking out your shoulder but keeping your elbow still bent. You want to try and lock them both out, so you're starting from a complete standstill, complete beginning. Because then what you'll do with that activation is you'll get the muscles in the back that stabilize the shoulder. You'll get them turning on to lock in the shoulder, because the biceps are pulling the bar, and the biceps are connected to the shoulder girdle. So you want all the muscles in the back, the big muscles in the back, to stabilize the shoulder girdle, so that when it's being pulled on by the bicep, they can keep it in place. So the back keeps the shoulder in place and the biceps pull from there. Better connection all the way across the bar, versus your bicep doing too much work and your back not doing too much work. That's just a safety thing, like or I would call pre-habilitation. Do some prehab, so you don't need rehab. It's probably a good idea in general. I'll try to get this one out basically non-stop without talking. This is the third round, so this is where it kind of kicks in. First couple of rounds can almost feel like a bit more of a warm-up. Not that they're warm-up, but they can feel like that a little bit sometimes. So I'll do this one as much as I can, back to back. So a big shout out to my buddy in Adelaide, Australia, who yesterday towed a Jeep Gladiator. That's the big bad boys. I believe it's about 12 and a half kilometers by himself with no help or aid the whole time. And in parts, although flat as a whole, in parts you could see some small inclines there that had him literally at a standstill. So I can't imagine in high 30 degrees, I'm sure. Adelaide, Australia is pretty damn hot, especially this time of year. So congratulations to him. Great achievement, another amazing feat. He has a million of them, and more than likely for multiple good causes. So big shout out to him. Still my superhero. Hell of a dude. Whew. Right. So I guess only one way to do it, and that's to do it. So I'll take slightly smaller breaks, but still small breaks in between each other exercise for this round. I'm trying to work on keeping my breathing under control and get that back to a decent little rhythm, and then probably try and finish the 5th round again all the way through back to back like the previous round. All right, so that's interesting. Starting to feel some weirdness, but been here before. Nothing you can do to help. So I guess we just get it done, get it finished, suck it up a little bit and just go. Oh. My grip starting to go a little bit there. That one's a little awkward one where your grip goes because my legs are up in the air and my grip goes. I'm pulling flat and straight on my back or tailbone. At least if the chin-ups, they're landing back on your feet. If your grip falls out, but it's never happened. But it sure does feel like it's going to. I've tried not to use the grips that I have, but I may have to bring those bad boys back out. Oh. All right, this is that part I talked about. I would rather have a little bit more of a rest period to gather the grip strength so I don't have to have a break because of my grip giving out. If I can't pull myself up as a result of all my muscles in my shoulders and arms being fatigued, then that's okay, I can accept that. But if my back feels like I can still do the pull-ups, and it's purely because of the grip I don't get to finish them, that annoys me a little. So I'm gonna try to get them done. So although I shared with you guys earlier all the bits and pieces I'm doing in my routine as far as like supplements and little sleep aids and gizmos and gadgets, bits and pieces. As far as those, there is one other thing that I think is worth mentioning. I think I'll take the opportunity now, get a little bit of a break in. I was asked, I think it was 2 days ago, what was that number one thing? It was, if you could only choose one thing, but it could be anything, and it could actually be rectified, or it could actually be done, or it was available, whatever, what would it be for optimizing my health? Now, I thought about this a multitude of times over the past decade or two, and I think my answer for all the marbles would be, let's call it a magic pill. So the magic pill would be to have one thing to always keep your hormones in balance. So if there was one pill you could take, or one practice you could do, like a meditation of some sort, that kind of practice, I mean, it would be that. I don't think you'd have to take any other supplements. I don't think you'd have to have any aids, gizmos. I don't think you'd have to do too much anything else other than just keeping your hormones in balance. So for me, the magic pill would be an absolute hormone pill. And by absolute, I mean absolutely across the board. Keeping all your hormones topped up to the optimal level for you, because everybody's levels are different. We all have different levels of maybe the same hormone, and some of us have some hormones and others don't. But I would say that one would be the most important one. There is obviously going to be multiple layers to this, because you may need a multiple amount of vitamins, minerals, all these type of things in order for that to happen. But let's just say if it's a little magic pill that has all those things in it or whatever, but to keep the hormones going. Now, because this little magic pill is not available, and it is a little bit of a dream guessing type scenario, La La Land based analogy, I will say that the closest thing there is to this would be meditation or prayer, depending on which version of the word you like to use. I believe they're two different things, so saying the different version of the word probably not accurate. I don't mean that they're the same thing. I do understand that the difference between the two, what those differences are, will more than likely be interpreted differently by everyone. So we won't go into that, but for me, meditation is the one thing that keeps away the biggest interfering or interceptors, the disruptors of the hormone being balanced. Meditation does a lot with clearing your mind, allowing you to have the ability to focus as a skill, relieving anxiety, depression, making you feel a little bit more joy, calmness, happiness, those type of feelings. They resonate much higher on the frequency chart. So that would be probably the one that would be the closest thing to it. Although I'm not talking about obviously food intake. Rest and sleep would probably come and be elevated as a result of meditation. So it's kind of like a side effect. So it'd be great. But also your relationship with yourself and others will probably kick into that as well. So, but technically speaking, that is the closest thing there is to it, as far as I'm concerned. But hey, this is just my opinion. Don't trust me. I've only been doing it for a decade, so what would I know? Maybe there's a study that was done last week that disproves me, based on 100 or 1,000 people that are not at all me, and more than likely not at all you. Yet somehow most people will go and believe that study because it is science, and science seems to be everybody's new god, which I think is absolutely completely the opposite. But that's just my personal view. Don't worry about that. Let's train. I'll get one more of these rounds out and we'll call it quits, because battery's flashing, I'm gassed, and time says, move on, G, move on. So I've just realized, I said earlier I did some backwards walking, quads and calves. Completely forgot the 500 steps on the Stairmaster that I did in between there. And I'm realizing that. That's why I'm thinking, why are my legs so gassed out? They're not normally so gassed out. Well, there was 500 steps on the Stairmaster, which I believe are on my Instagram as we speak. So there's that. But hey, no excuses, still gassed out. Starting to get cramp in my abs. Interesting. The mind, the psyche already somehow has known or knows that abs are next. I was not feeling any abs or anything during my break period or the lunges. So just as I backed up thinking what's next, abs, my abs started cramping up a little. Fun now, fun. Oh, grip was close. The grip was close. I felt that one. That one was sliding a little bit there. It's close. Life is a highway, and I want to ride it all night long. Realizing you guys don't hear the music actually, but that song was this one. I think that's what that song was. But anyway, life is a highway, and I will ride it all night long, so relevant regardless. Just gonna rest my arms a little bit, so I want to try and get 10 chin-ups out to finish straight. So I've done all 5 sets straight without a break, which would be quite good. I think I've done 5 sets of 5 sets of 10 without having a break in between those sets before, but I would not have done them in recent times anyway within a circuit like this. So I'm relatively happy with myself there and proud of the achievements I have been making by doing chin-ups in every session, or 9 out of 10 sessions at least. All right, 10 chin-ups done like a dog's dinner. Head home. Yeah. Anyway, it is time. It is that time. I will go home, edit this video, and try and upload this bad boy up for you guys in the next day or two. Battery is flashing, so this is cutting out any second now. I want to say peace, adios, and see you guys on the next one. I appreciate you guys being with me through these beginner stages of this channel and the beginner stages of these workouts with you. Again, therapy, I love it. Appreciate you guys, love you all.